All right, let's do a little bit something different. We're going to switch gears today. I'm going to talk about why I created the Stop the Mind Screw program, how it came about, and what happened. I'm going to get real vulnerable with you, so let's go. Hey, Kathy Owen here, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about transforming your life in magic fashion. My name is Kathy Owen, certified fitness trainer and life coach since 2002, and today I teach others how to transform their lives in magic fashion. As a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse, today I teach others how to stop the mind screw. You want to learn more about that? Sign up at kathyowen.com/screw. Let's get into the video. My journey towards this idea started February 2008. I recently read the book in about 2007. I read the book A New Earth, and I shifted my perspective just from that book. I highly recommend it. It's my #1 book on my reading list, and let's talk about what happened. In February of 2008, I had been divorced for almost 8 years. And I was working at LA Fitness. The gym had just opened up, and I was the only female trainer in there with about 4 other guys who were phenomenal trainers. I learned so much from these guys. It's like amazing. It was like a shift was happening in my life at the same time. Checked my email on my BlackBerry. That's how long ago this was. And I had a bullying email from the stepmom. This was nothing new. She bullied the crap out of me in email. And this was back before the times when the courts would monitor your email system. And she could do it. She could get away with it. And it really was nothing new. But this email broke me down. And she said something about I had dropped off the boys' sporting equipment at Kenny's shop. And that's where I was allowed to drop off stuff at the time. And her email came back to me saying, "You can't do that. Don't drop it off." So that left me with nowhere because they did not co-parent with me at all. And I was left with, I don't know, just typical shit. And I was so upset. And it's like my whole world turned upside down. I left the gym in tears. And that's why I'm telling you, I worked with all these guys because they were like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" Because you never saw me like that. And I had to leave my client hanging who was waiting for me to train. I couldn't even think. And mind you, today I still live in the same area, and I had lived there for probably 12 years at the time. So I go out to my car and I get in my car and I'm crying so hard. I just start driving and I lost it. I mean, I was already diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder at the time, and I lost it. I totally lost it. I didn't know where I was. I called one of my friends and I said, "I don't know where I am. I'm stopped on the side of the road. I think it's over by where we dropped your computer off a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know what to do. I was having a nervous breakdown." And so somehow or another, her boyfriend came and picked me up and helped me out and took me home. And then that evening, I remember sitting there and thinking, and I had a phenomenal realization that totally changed my life in what appeared to be magic fashion. What happened was I realized I was telling myself a story about how I expected things to be. And my life was not going to be that way in that story. For example, I told myself a story that I was a mother, and that was what my whole world was pretty much. I mean, as a mom, that's just what you do. It's just you give birth to these kids and you love them with all of your being. But I had to let go of that story. I didn't let go of the love, but I let go of that story because my ex and his wife, even to this day, they act like they both gave birth to them, brought them into this world, and they use them for their own personal gain. And they always have. And it's awful. Don't get me wrong, my ex loves my boys. I know he loves them very, very much. And actually, he's probably got too much of that because he's off balance. And the fact that he doesn't even share them with me at all. There's no sharing. None. I've never spent a birthday with them since they've been old enough to be with him. And he took my holidays away from me. So those things are huge triggers for me. Holidays and birthdays and just family events, because my version of a family is totally different from most other people. So what happened with me was I went into revision. I went into the storytelling, the self-talk. That's what I revised in myself. And that's only one step in the entire process of Stop the Mind Screw. So let's go over those steps and I'll tell you where revision fits into the steps and where I was missing certain things along the way that now really help. All right, step number 1 is, what do you want? What do you want? My video the other day was about your definite chief aim. And this is step number 1 for a very big reason, because when you know what you want, you have it written down, you visualize it 2 to 3 times a day, you stay flexible and in alignment, and it guides you. It's your sail in the wind. So when troubles do hit, and they're gonna hit, you know to shift direction, but you know you're on the right path because your definite chief aim doesn't just have to do with you selfishly. It has to do with what you can give to the world, what you can contribute. And when it comes like that, it changes everything and it changes how it works. That's why you want to know what you want. And I also have a guide, a free guide at kathyowen.com/want. And it helps you decide what your definite chief aim is. It helps you write it down. It gives you a guide exactly as Napoleon Hill teaches it in Think and Grow Rich. And I cannot stress enough that having that there for you in any goal you want. It can be a relationship, it can be a business, it can be a house. Any goal that you want to have it broken down into a definite chief aim. Number 2 step in the Stop the Mind Screw process is a mental diet. Now, I didn't know what a mental diet was back in 2008, and I didn't find out about one actually until 2019. So, but the mental diet, all it is you become aware of your thoughts. You become aware of negative thoughts, and you don't dwell on them, and you don't shame yourself for thinking them. You just don't dwell on them. And eventually it becomes a lifestyle. So a mental diet is one of the most powerful things you can do in your life. And coming soon, I'm going to have a 5-day mental diet challenge on my Facebook group, Stop the Mind Screw. And a mental diet is also taught by myself in Stop the Mind Screw program, because a mental diet, whoa, it'll change your life. Why? Because you identify limiting beliefs that are inside your mind. Those negative thoughts, most of the time, they come from a limiting belief like, for example, with my boys, my limiting belief was that I had to be an all-encompassing mom. I had to control every aspect of their life. I had to let go of a lot of freaking control because my ex took it over and I had no choice. no choice. But I had to let go of those limiting beliefs because just because he had that control does not mean that he had their heart. And mine was coming from my heart. My definite chief aim was coming for the best for my kids. Fortunately, it worked. Number 3 is analyze your self talk. Analyze the stories you're telling to yourself. So, in my incident, I was telling myself a story that I had to control everything, and there was no way I was going to control it. Obviously, of course, I'm going to have a freaking nervous breakdown with everything that was going on around me. I mean, that was probably, honestly, part of their plan. They probably wanted me to kill myself. And because they wanted everything. They wanted everything. They wanted everything. And basically, I gave it to them, but they didn't get my life. They didn't get my heart. And the whole problem was with me when I was dealing with this issue was the story I was telling myself. And I was telling that to everybody who would listen. That is not beneficial at all. It's not beneficial to go around playing victim to everybody who will listen. I get it. It feels empowering to go around and complain about everything that's happening to you and being a victim of everything. But honestly, I learned through my years of therapy with Sherry that victim mentality does not serve you. It does not serve you. And I rose up out of victim. I had a new self talk with myself that changed the way I looked at everything. I didn't go around talking about my story. Now, there were times I needed to vent, of course, and I would talk to good friends or, of course, my therapist. But I got to a point where I drew a boundary and I quit telling everybody that would listen about my story because my story was pretty interesting and very dramatic, and people love drama. They love the story. And so they would get enthralled in me telling them what was going on. And I had to shift perspective and realize that that's just stories I was telling myself. I got that from A New Earth. Now, A New Earth will talk about the stories that we tell. And the stories that you tell you can either empower yourself or disempower yourself. So if you notice now, I'm telling you from a perspective of victor. I am no longer a victim, and that's the way I talk to myself. Now, as a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I can tell you those triggers never go away. I just recently went through the Easter holiday, and I had probably about 10 triggers that hit me. And they all have to do with family and the way people identify with family and how they're always asking me, where are your boys? How are your boys? Da 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 da. My family is different. It doesn't look like a normal family, a mom, dad, kids, even a single mom and kids. It does not look like that. But my story that I tell now is more empowering. So I don't go back into victim, even though those triggers do hit. And I'm not going to lie, there were times on Easter, yeah, I wanted to cry because I'm around everybody who's family. The life that I live now, it's so interesting because my boyfriend and his ex-wife, we all go together. We go to all kinds of events together. Hell, I'll come home from work and they're all at my house. And that is healthy. That's the way it's supposed to be. But both of them, even my boyfriend, every relationship I've ever had, including my own family, do not understand because they don't understand the intricacies that took place and how. I mean, I could sit there and tell my story till I'm blue in the face, but they're just not going to understand it because they have a healthy family. They don't understand what it's like to have that pulled totally from you and lose control. But when you change your self talk, even when it comes to other people and how they view, my self-talk is a lot more empowering. It's like, Kathy, you are still on this journey for a reason. You today, look what you do. You teach other people how to overcome traumatic events. And that was very traumatic. And if I can just help one person, it makes my journey worthwhile. Number 4 step in a stop the mind screw process is your thought habits. What are they? And basically, what are your habits? When I first started on this journey of course teaching that I was taking, I thought I was going to be a habit coach because habits and fitness, I am a personal trainer, they go together. But I started to realize the more of an impact I would be able to make on other people's lives by teaching them this entire process. So my habits build my day. They help me stay stable because obviously anything can throw me off kilter very easily. But when I have my habits set in stone, I have that to fall back on. For example, my morning routine is immaculate, and I do teach morning, afternoon, and evening routines as part of this process because it is something that is going to ground you. It's going to help you. So my morning routine consists of this. I get up at 4:45. I'm out of bed by 5. I'm in the gym by 5:30. I'm doing my workout till 6:30, sometimes 7. I come home. During my workout, I'm listening to very powerful podcasts that inspire me to do what I'm teaching. Joseph Rodriguez of Insights and Perspectives, I'm usually listening to him, and I'm listening to him over and over and over again. And he's got almost 300 episodes, and I could just listen to that for hours. But I keep it in balance. I don't listen to that totally and completely. That's my gym. Okay, come home from the gym, do a little bit of work on my business, then I'd go get ready for my corporate job, which I love, by the way. And during that time, while I'm getting ready, I'm also listening to podcasts that help me with my business. I have a business coach that I listen to, and she helps me. I'm taking coaching from her. And so I have just more inspiring stuff to keep me in line with my definite chief aim, which has to do with all of this. My afternoon habits consist of my 9 to 5 job, pretty much. And then my evening habits consist of more of a balance where I'm relaxing with Eddie, my dogs, watching TV, just chilling out and having a good, relaxing evening, getting ready for my bedtime. And then at bedtime, I do revision of my day. I had taken notes in my day, either in my mind or in my phone, and then I go over what happened and I either revise it if it was not productive, or I just let it go. And that is so empowering. And that's a Neville Goddard technique, which is the pruning shears of revision. I'll have a link in description below to a PDF on that. And that helps me raise my consciousness. All of this helps me raise my consciousness. And actually, step number 5 is revision. So I did revision on the holiday. After my Easter, because there were several instances that caused me to be reactive. What is reactivity? It's on the lower end of the scale of the emotional guidance scale by Esther Hicks, and I'll have a picture of it up here for you to look at. And that emotional guidance scale is, when you're in the lower levels, those are reactivity. When you're jealous, when you're angry, when you're trying to prove a point to somebody, you're going to be in the lower levels. And that is not a healthy place to be. And so to rise up in those levels, maybe not in the moment, because, as a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, triggers come all the time. And I could easily get reactive and go into depression really easily and feel sorry for myself. But I don't let myself go there. I let myself feel those feelings. Don't get me wrong. I feel them. I get angry at somebody who's trying to prove their point to me about whatever's going on in the news. And it does affect me. And so I have to rewrite that with the pruning shears of revision. So as I'm falling asleep at night, I think about that and I picture it in the way I wished it would have happened so that the next time I'm not as reactive to that incident. And it helps so much because I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind takes everything literally. If you're reactive, it's going to take it reactive, and your subconscious mind controls your life. If you don't control it and use your mind as your most powerful tool, it will control your life, and you'll end up in a breakdown where you're crying and you don't know why that's happening. But you haven't taken your power back. You haven't controlled your subconscious mind. You've let it control you. And the final stage of Stop the Mind Screw is you get into flow. Flow is where challenge meets skill. So the challenge was the story I was telling myself. That was not helping me. My skill became I learned a new process. I learned a way to get out of that victim mentality. I learned several ways. And, subconscious reprogramming is it. It is it. But you want to maintain an ideal state of flow every day, all the time. And the way you do that is you have all of these steps in place and you can maintain an ideal of flow all the time. So you go through your lower emotional scale, but you rise up. That's where challenge meets skill. And when that happens, it's like magic. I'm not kidding you. That's why I say it transforms your life in magic fashion. Because once you establish these habits and you get in the habit of it, you're in the habit of being in flow. And then it just goes. You encounter situations that can trigger you, but you find flow because you know that it's there and you trust the process. You trust what's going on. So let's go back to our definite chief aim. You're going to have pivots. You're going to have to change direction because the wind is going to change. And when the wind changes, you go, oh, I know that's here. So I can still do my definite chief aim, which with me, it's teaching this to you right now. It's teaching it to you. So if I can maintain an ideal state of flow, I know I'll be able to teach you. I know that those triggers that happen to me happen for a reason. All right, that's my video for today. I hope you liked it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Share it with somebody who may benefit. And until next time, I'll see you next time. Peace out and namaste. And check to my email on my Blueberry.